other dignitaries on the dais, dignitaries in the audience. I'm grateful for this opportunity to be physically interacting with you through our conversations and topics, an opportunity which I haven't been able to use for over a year and a half. So for me, this is a benchmark, and quite frankly, I do so with some trepidation, because whether we like it or not, we are all anxious people for various reasons. In the last few months of my exposure through video conferencing, teleconferencing, and what have you, I haven't met a person who has not been affected by this pandemic in some personal way, in some manner. Life is not the same. The news is, and I don't much care whether it is a good news or a bad news, it will never be the same again. As the introduction would have you know, I have spent my 70 plus years perambulating across the world. And you may be wondering how the figure of 70 is arrived at, because I know I look only 60, but I'm actually 76. I started my travels when I was 5.5 years old, when I went to England to begin my education. The rest is history. And one thing which I have learned, if that is the only thing which I have learned, is people do not register change, they only talk of change. More than that, it is the other person who must change it, because I am perfect. We don't believe it even when our spouses raise the mirror to our face. We don't believe it when our children grow up, and we certainly didn't believe it when our elders told us that. But we are all chanting change. The time has come, if at all there is a measurement of time, that we look within. Otherwise, the anxieties which we are nursing, is my cough a symptom of this, that, or the other? Should I go to RT-PCR test or should I not go through it? How am I to travel? If I travel, the rules, will they change after my landing in New York, or will be the same when I'm leaving? We have had distinguished predecessors talking ahead of me, international exposure, depth of insight. I cannot possibly compete with them for their insights and observations. But if I'm to have any credentials of talking to you, it can be only in terms of tabling my own experience and sharing with you some thoughts, however tentative they be. Therefore, my first observation, if everything has changed, and everything has changed, from our perception of time to our perception of relationships to our methods of interaction, the life cycle hasn't changed. So how do we have a sense of dealing with constant issues with everything in transition? My submission is first to redo our phraseology. I was talking to a group of friends, which courtesy this conclave has brought me into a personal interaction after a very long time, and I said the old expression seemed to be, we are all in the same boat. The truth is we are not all in the same boat, because there is no boat. We are all in the same storm. Each for himself. Several of us here would have experienced this virus at a personal level, in terms of exposure of people who are very close to us, our own exposure, our dealing with household help, our dealing with sanitization processes and what have you. And one thing which is clear is there are no standards. Let me explain. My profession and my background and my network of generous people enables me to deal with the high and mighty and some of the best in this land and elsewhere. And I could drop a lot of names. So-and-so in Niti Aayog, so-and-so in AIMS, and so who has been a dean here, so-and-so internationally renowned. No one knows the answer of what caused it. And still more, no one has a solution to it. And even whatever you do by way of sanitization, washing of hands, this, that, and the other, is a business of groping with possibilities. Therefore, my second submission, stop looking for certitudes in your life. There is no certitude. Deep within you, you are grappling with uncertainties of you don't know where it came from, how long it is going to remain, and where it is going to go. Therefore, some of the paradigms of HR have got to change. And I'll submit to you 3 paradigms and close with that. Because I don't think you need my wisdom, if there is any. I also don't think anybody is interested in listening to anyone, because everyone is so full of answers himself that he would like to speak. Anyone who has held a conclave like this would know it is so much easier to get a speaker than to get an audience. I've spent a lifetime setting up conferences. My first international conference took place in 1978. And I wear several hats, as several of you know. HR is merely one of them. It was the 11th Quinquennial Conference of Anthropological and Ethnological Sciences, which India is going to hold again a little while from now, but that's another story. Dr. L.P. Vidyarthi was the president, and he took a fancy to me because he found me youthful, energetic, in Delhi, therefore with interesting contacts, and the whole thing was capped with the fact that he wanted to get Mr. Morarji Desai to inaugurate the conference, and he couldn't because Mr. Morarji Desai was the Prime Minister, and the conference was supposed to be launched on the 10th of December, and 10th of December was Chakravarti Rajgopalachari's birthday, so he was committed for that birthday. So he called me up, and I must have been his last port of call. Bhaiya, this is an international conference, what do I do if the Prime Minister doesn't come? It will be a loss of face. Can you do something? I said, yes, certainly I can do something, because I had capacity even then to rush in where the angels were. A propensity which I still haven't lost and still keeps me young. If you can do foolish things and not be embarrassed about it, you are really an HR man. Because no one knows the answer anyhow. So how is your guesswork any different from anyone else's? Answers belong to the hierarchy. They don't belong to a wisdom. I've spent a lifetime in organizations in India and abroad where the chant is, as the director has rightly said, as the CEO has rightly said, as the chairman has rightly said, and when the gentleman retires, there is not even a person to see him up at the station. It is a very quick in adjusting. If we have survived 10,000 years plus, it is because of a basic instinct of resilience. We can adjust to anything. So the proposition which I have is, I didn't know anyone. I went to V.V. John, who was a friend of my father. I said, John Saab, who was the Vice Chancellor of Jodhpur, do you know Morarji Desai? He said, yes. We were together in the JP movement. I said, can you get him for this conference? So we went to USIS in Kasturba Gandhi Mark, where I knew somebody, and he gave a dictation and he said, Dear Morarji Bhai, I believe you have been invited by the 11th Anthropological and Ethnological Conference to inaugurate it. You don't have time because you are going to Chakravarti Rajgopalachari's birth anniversary. My suggestion is it will do good to you If you meet these anthropologists from all over the world, therefore please adjust your schedule and come. And he said, can you get this letter delivered to the Prime Minister? I said, sir, I can always try. What is the problem? So I tried, the letter was delivered because somebody knew his son. Morarji Desai rescheduled his appointment and came. So you can imagine my stock went really high. Here was a person who was a mover and a shaker. I was neither a shaker nor a mover. To Kala gaya. What is it that I'm saying? Success comes your way or eludes you, not because of what you are, because of something which you don't understand. Back to COVID again. You don't have to understand everything. Keep doing your best. That is an HR. That is the message. I will close with two other submissions because I've exhausted one of the three for which I sought your permission. The second submission is the big strengths of this country are talked about so loud and clear, especially as what has been proclaimed as the 75th year of Indian independence, and special lectures are being held. I have even been invited for a special lecture by Income Tax Appellate Authority. Yes, I do matter. Just in case anybody is in doubt. And this Income Tax Appellate Tribunal wanted me to talk of India's outreach to the world, which I did. And since in Delhi everybody is dropping something or the other to make an impression, if you want to check out, you can check this out. You can check out everything that I say. I was trained as a historian, which meant that for whatever you say, you must have a footnote, because when we examine PhD theses, we check out what is the statement, we go to the archives and find out, does that document exist? Yeah, this fellow only big blunderbuss. You know, when I was with the Prime Minister and when I was sipping tea with the President, and he wouldn't know the front of the Rashtrapati Bhavan to the back of the Rashtrapati Bhavan, but it always makes a major impression. My lament is, we did a lot of things in 75 years. One thing which we did not do is develop our own standards. We were always borrowing standards in physics, in statistics, in industry, in academia. In the ultimate analysis, the biggest thing to say is, my institution grew up with a collaboration with Imperial College. I have seen the VIPs of the corporate world. And for those of you who have a window onto my career, I haven't just been an academic, I've been a CEO of one of the world's biggest consulting firms. I've been a senior advisor to KPMG. I have done various things in the academia and elsewhere. I find it necessary to say this because I don't intend to be disparaging, but I intend to carry conviction. We set standards on nothing, with the result that we won n number of gold medals in hockey. Then they went and changed the rules and they made it beyond the turf, and after that we never got a gold medal. The 50th anniversary on 21st. I won't say what proximity of relationship because I have to go back to them. It's a very close bond. So I called him and said, how have you survived those 50 years? He said, why don't you ask Dr. Gautam? So I said, without being facetious, I'll send an email to him. And like many of you have several email IDs, so from one email ID I wrote to another email ID to Dr. Vinayshil Gautam, and I said, how have you survived all these years of my marriage? And my wife, being very dutiful, very loving, very affectionate, she saw me writing this email and she smiled, and like a person who has put up with the inevitabilities of life, she said, you won't ever change, would you? So I put on the Mail Act. I smiled and I said, darling, would you like me to change? And she said, of course not. I got a hug. So the question is, you must reinvent yourself. I'm not here to tell you stories. I'm not in the entertainment business. But yes, if I have survived 50 years of vicissitudes of competition, of those 50 years, I have been based in Delhi, and those who have been based in Delhi know what a jungle it is to survive in. It is only because I talk what I have experienced, not talk down. I don't talk at, I talk with people. Nobody is here to listen to me unless it touches some chord in his heart, unless it is reflection of some experience which you would like to understand, and I'm here to tell you there are no answers save the answers which will come from you, and that is what HR is about, and that is the catalyst for development. Catalyst means a process of development, but you never grow alone. You have to find the answers within yourself, but you always grow together. I have 2 grown-up daughters, both of them extremely well placed in life. Bhagwati has been kind. The details cannot be shared here, not because it's a secret, but it's unnecessary. No one is dependent on me. I am not dependent on anyone. I have decided that it's time to stop earning because I have no use. There is nobody to inherit. I have enough to take care of myself, and I could give you more details of my personal biography. It's not necessary. There is a message which I'm giving. Write your own goals, your own targets, your own HR philosophy. Work out your family without listening to Vinayshil Gautams of the world, because the only message he would have to give is think for yourself. The answers have to come within you, whether it is individual or in an organization, whether you're a CEO or a person at a director's level. But work in the context which you are, work with the resources which you are, work with the insights which you are. Because I think, whatever you may say of the human resources, we have acquitted ourselves brilliantly over the last year and a half. We beat it with online, we beat it with video conferencing, we beat it with work at home, we kept the sinews of economy moving. There's nothing to be embarrassed about. It is the other professions which should be learning from us. We should be there in the process of exchange. If these thoughts have any meaning, any purpose for you, welcome to my club. If not, I'll be willing to listen to you and exchange experiences for my next presentation, which is round the corner, because I believe in listening being the core of talking. Unless you listen, please realize no communication has taken place, because it takes 2 to tango. Thank you, Anilji, for your opportunity which you offered me. May you go from